Welcome to Conquering Mount Scrapmore with Brenda. I'm Brenda, and today we are bringing you the final episode of Spring Fling with Strings, the finale. Yay, this is the finale. So this is where you get to use these elongated diamonds and your quarter square triangles. So this is going to be fun and quick, and we also have your outer border in gold. So there's going to be two things that are going on here today. And it's going to come together really quickly, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So before we get to the sewing, let's do our shout out, because I think otherwise I'm going to forget. Quilts Are My Passion. Karen at Quilts Are My Passion has got a very interesting voice in quilting. You got to go check her out, give her some words of encouragement, and hit her subscribe button if you like what you see over there. So, yeah, her YouTube channel is going to be in our show notes below or description box. So please look for that more button to open up that box, because it gives you all sorts of things like the Zoom sew dates that are in there from now until the end of December. And yeah, it's going to be really interesting how we get those Zoom sew dates. They're from 9 a.m. 5 p.m. and we just have so much fun. You never know who's going to show up, and we get people from Europe, we get people from Canada and the US, of course. Sometimes we get people from South America, New Zealand, and we do have some Australians that are coming. We just have so much fun in that room, and doing our sew day. And let's see, share, like, and subscribe, make comments, and hitting the thumbs up and hitting the bell all helps our analytics. So if you could do one or all of those things, that would help us out so much. If all you have time to do is give us a heart in the comments, that would help us out so much for us to continue bringing you free patterns, right? Also, we have a Facebook group, and we have a virtual sewing room under Discord in that Facebook group. And we have a hoot. Plus, we have all sorts of community chats. We do all the same thing in other Facebook groups, like show pictures. It's just been a lot of fun. Also, I speak for free to quilting guilds and quilting groups. We're filming this April 2nd, so I'm going to spend the month of April revamping my speaking engagement and just making it a little more fun, a little more interesting. And yes, if you're interested in getting a hold of me, please either send me a message through Facebook, or my email is in the About tab. Also, if you guys have a shout out, send me a link under the Facebook group, or, under Facebook. Or send me an email with that, and send me the link to their channel, because I'm really lousy at looking up stuff. But yeah, so that would be awesome. Now once we finish Spring Fling, we've got a couple more videos we want to do, and then we will start Quilt Bingo. Quilt Bingo is a skill builder, and it's going to be a blast. So we're going to have some fun with that. I've already been working on some of the stuff with Quilt Bingo and what I want to show you during that. So it's going to be cool. So that's it. Come on in. Let's get to the sewing. Okay, so now we're going to take our elongated diamonds and our quarter square triangles, and we're going to sew them in together. Now there's 7 elongated diamonds and 8 quarter square triangles that are needed for each side. Now I've already sewn on all 3 sides. And the cornerstones for the other long side, I just put plain blue squares, because I figured, okay, let's keep this kind of simple. It's starting to get really heavy, really heavy. So what we're going to do is we're going to put, what I did is I sewed them all this way, not this way, but this way, right? So the light is touching the light. So now we're just going to run all of this under our sewing machine foot. And just pair them up. This part, putting this together was so easy, because I mean, basically now you're just running them all together, right? And there we go. Put that together with this. It didn't take long to sew this piece border on. The outer border, there's a couple of tricks you can use to get it together, but because everything is squared up and stay stitched, there's very little stretch around the edge, right? So that's a huge bonus. Okay. Oops, here we go. There. Yeah, it's kind of nice when you see something all come together and there's no stretch. It's like, yay! Alright. That is 5, right? Now it's 5, 6. You wouldn't believe how many times I've counted the same pieces over and over and over again. So these quarter square triangles, of course, are cut off from your sashing pieces, right? You've probably realized. Now I am going to have one extra, and that is perfect because that's what I need. I need one extra. And okay, so now, I just take the first 2 off. Oops, take the first 2 off, and I flip it like this, very quick. Line it up again. As long as you sew them all the same way, this comes together very quickly, right? So, yeah. There we go. And the next 2 come off. There. Now I did do my stay stitching around all of these pieces. So, oh, come on. There we go. There. This quilt is, I'm going to warn you now, this quilt is getting very, very heavy. Right, so that's part of this as well. You know. And I was quite surprised actually how much brown I use. Out of my scraps and my strings and my crumbs, it was like, wow. I just decimated my browns all over again, which is kind of nice. Now with this one, right, that you only have the one left, you're going to put this piece on, right, just like that. And there. Now you've got the 2 blue cornerstones left for a reason, because this is the last piece that goes on. Now hopefully my friend Deb Morton has been able, you just take 2 and you sew them together just like so, with a quarter square triangle up against the elongated diamond. Hopefully she's been able to come up with a quilt layout so you can see how all of this comes together. There. Now, there we go. Just like that. And here we go. I'm going to put that here. Here. Now I'm going to move this like so. Just take the shorter one, move it like so, and join the last elongated triangle, or diamond, I mean. The elongated diamond. Now elongation is one of these design elements we always forget about, but they're so much fun to work with. Now I've got one long continuous piece. Because this is the last bit of outer border, or basically is an inner border and then a solid outer border, I'm going to put on the blue cornerstones right away on the outer edge. And when you look at it, there will be 2 solid pieces on the edge just to turn the corner, right? So now I go look for the other end, and that's there. And there. I know it's all been twisted and turned. You're going, good grief. How do you know which end is which? Okay. So this is the end we start with. Now I'm even going to leave this in the machine. Now I'm just going to push this out just a bit, just to make it flat. And I'm going to unwrap this, and we're going to start sewing this on the outer edge. Okay, now, oops, this is very heavy. So So I'm warning you guys. Like I say, we're gonna start sewing this on the outer edge. Now I've got the gold pieces from the other 3 sides. Like I've sewn this, just about sewn all of this together here already. And I'm gonna call my cameraman in to help me. But here we go. I'm gonna find the other, oh, here it is. Okay, so this is the end that gets sewn on first. So I'm just going to move this out of the way for now. Just give it a little touch of persuasion with my fingernail. And I'm going to start sewing on this outer border. Now, the first thing I'm going to match up is the quarter square triangle underneath, right? So I'm going to match up that seam and just get it right in there perfectly. Okay. Now I'm going to free this end. And I'm going to pull more of this around. Wow. It's really heavy. Okay. So let's get some more of this sewn. So now what happens is this actually, because all the stay stitching is done on the outside, this does not move. This does not stretch much at all, which is kind of nice. Now I'm just going to sew this later at the end, right? Okay. Okay. Now, so you just start matching up your seams. Where you have seams on your piece border, you just start matching it up and you just sew it. Now, just like that. There we go. And you just get past that first couple of dots. There we go. And you match it up to the next, where the next seam is. Okay. And go across. And I'm just going to pull out a bit more. Hang on. Hang on. Okay, here we go. I think I got enough of it out. Yeah. This is going to be beautiful for a charity quilt. I hope somebody, when they get it, that they really like it. And they think, oh wow, I put a lot of time into this. And yes, when you're doing it by string, this is a very labor-intensive piece, but it is well worth it. Okay, let's get another one. See, we're just lining up where all of this would go. So it creates another little pattern here on the edge, which is fine. There. Okay. So you kind of get the drift of what I'm doing here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to continue this off camera, because you don't need to see me put on the entire border, because you kind of get an idea of what we're doing here. And I'll finish sewing on the rest of this border here right to the far end, and then I'll come back and I'll show you what I'm doing with these pieces here. Okay, so we'll cut here. Okay, we lost a bunch of film, so here we go. So I took that edge that was just hanging loose and I sewed it straight up, and then I trimmed it so that it you know, was straight with this line here. Now I'm adding on the border, and you can see how I put my borders together with the, you know, I crossed them like this, my 2-inch strips. Because everything has been cut to a finished size or unfinished size and then stay stitched, there's no stretch in this border. You're not going to have a ruffly border. Or if you do, it's going to be so minor, it's not worth the energy. Now, you could put a larger border on it and go with, let's say, you know, a 3-inch or 5-inch or whatever border you feel should go here. My issue is this is a big queen already, and I mean, it's beautiful when it's, you know, it's all opened up, but it's heavy. It's already heavy. Now, the typical way, if you're going to put a larger border than 2 inches, because this is an outer border that's 2 inches wide. Basically, it's holding everything together on the outside edge. If you're going to go bigger than 2, you have to should try and do the traditional way of, you know, marking the half, you know, marking the quarters, marking the eighths of it, and then, you know, going through and doing the same, you know, taking tape measures and, you know, like adding and all that stuff. You need to kind of do that. Once you go past the 2-inch mark, or, you know, some people get away with a 2.5 inch, but, you know, this is just a very quick little nod to a border, you know, an outer border. This quilt, and because of all the seams and the string, it's already heavy and it's big. So there we go. And this, just a sec. All this stuff is falling over, so yeah. Yeah, it's big and heavy. Yeah. So, but that's how you would traditionally do a border, is mark your, you know, take your measurement, do your measurement, do your cutting, do your, you know, take your measurements and then divide it by half. So you'd mark your half spots. You put little divots in both your quilt and your border, and then your quarter and your eighths. And that way you can put your border on really nicely. But because we've done the stay stitching, and because we've, you know, cut to the right size and all of this stuff, and we're only putting on a 2-inch border, now we can cheat. This is what's making it much simpler, you know. And like I say, it is a big queen. I think I had somewhere in this mess, you can change your borders too. Like, you don't have to have this border. You know, you can do a different border, or you can put, you know, the gold on the inside, put a piece border, and then do a different, you know, a different border if you want it bigger. It's all up to you. It's your sewing room. You do you the best. So, you know, that's kind of what you need to do. There. Now, oops. Okay, it's getting caught again. Pull this all back. Now, I cut 10 or 11 pieces with the fabric of gold in a 2-inch, and I'm sure I had enough. I could have probably went with a 2.5 inch, but I started with a 1.5 yards and of fabric that had been in my stash for quite a while. So I was kind of like, oh, it's finally gone, yay. And I found a project that I could use it, so and it's heavily embossed. So I figured, okay, this will add some shine. String quilts, to me, tend to twinkle, right? So that's kind of where I was heading with this one. Yeah, that's going this way. There we go. Okay, we haven't got that far to go and then we're done. Okay. So yeah, 10 or 11. I decided I just needed a little bit of extra, and I just, I'm glad I put 11 down. So for me, that's what works. I'd rather cut a little bit too much and then have the remaining, you know, as a scrap than to have too short. Okay, so as you can see, we're coming up to the far end. And also, I'm very happy to get rid of this blue. Oops, I gotta finger press this out so it's like nice and flat. Yeah, because this blue has been around in my stash for a while too. And it seems every time I turn around, I get more of that blue. So it must have been popular at one time. So this is all I've got left. Right, this little strip. So just fold it over, cut it off, and ta-da, we are done. Okay, there. Now let's get to our big ta-da moment. And this is all what's left of my gold. And I've got a little bit of piece that's uncut. So I was glad I cut 11, right? Okay, so let's get to the ta-da moment. Okay, so here's the quilt, and you can see the elongated diamonds and the gold border, and I didn't see any ruffling or anything like that. Mind you, I have to press it still, but it's manageable because it's such a thin border, like a thin gold border, so you don't really have to get too crazy with it. I do like the little pattern that's created here with the quarter square triangles and these diamond areas, right? So it's kind of a funky little thing, and it's worked out really well. This is huge. This is a good size queen. I haven't taken any measurements of it, but it did use up a lot of string. So this is a really cool one. And like I say, I picked my palette with, I had a big handful of blue strings, I had a big handful of brown strings, and I had 2 big handfuls of low volume. So that's how I picked it. This, honest, I mean, that's how I picked this. And then I had a yard and a half of the gold, right? So it unifies everything as well. So I do hope you're sewing along with us and having a good time. Now I'm going to get our cameraman to pan across so you can see as much of this as you can. But yeah, this is just a beautiful quilt, the way this turned out. And my husband doesn't understand how it turned from that little piece of scribbling on my paper to this, but it did. So I wish you well. I wish you well. I didn't know he'd pan right back. I wish you all well and have an absolutely fabulous week ahead, and everything in your life is going great. So you guys stay well and take care until we see each other again. But before I go, we're going to do a couple of other videos, and then we're going to start Quilt Bingo. So that's going to be a fun skill builder. So you take care. All right, bye. My husband and I would like to thank you for all of your support and watching our videos and sharing and liking. It has just been, you've put us on such an amazing journey, and we are having so much fun. I hope everything is going so well in your life, and you know, your 1/4 inch is perfect. Everything is working out for you. And we're just so happy to be part of your lives, and you having, like I say, you're watching us. I was just so thrilled that you're doing that. So I want to say goodbye, and I want to thank you with all my heart. Okay? Take care. Bye.